Response to Billy's Talking Points memo from Monday, October 19th, 2015, more political madness. Now what Billy's trying to do here is very, very simple. He's trying to get out of any idea that George Bush had anything, should accept any type of blame for 9/11. Now what precipitated this is Trump had indicated he wasn't saying he blamed Bush, he was just saying that it happened on his watch. And of course, with, you're the president, you're the man responsible. So forget about that point. There's a brouhaha with Trump and the new Jeb Bush and Trump on this. And Billy's trying to wade in, basically to soothe the waters a little bit and to basically indicate it really wasn't George Bush's fault in the first place. We could even put some blame on Clinton. So the first thing he tries to do is indicate that it was a lack of intelligence on our part, that's what precipitated it, and we can blame both Clinton and George Bush on this. Of course, that is not what was going on at all before 9/11, after George Bush had become president of the United States. So what happened beforehand? Number one, national security, somebody in there, I believe his name was Richard Clarke, wrote a couple books about it. He was screaming to get all the principals together, Condi Rice, the vice president, anybody, to talk about what he had been getting for the last couple months in terms of what may happen from a rogue nation, a non-nation entity attacking the United States. He was screaming for meetings so that something could get done. There was nothing in the Bush agenda from January of 2001 until September 10th of 2001 that showed that there was any type of high-level meetings that went on to address terrorism acts by non-nations against the United States. And he was screaming for that all over the place. Remember, there was also an August 6th CIA report that Condi Rice had to admit in front of Congress, said bin Laden determined to attack the United States. That was August 6th. How much time did it take to put that together from all the various levels? And maybe that was a national security report, to put that together, to say that they knew that stuff was going on in terms of bin Laden. They couldn't pinpoint it. What did George Bush say? Hey, you covered your ass, now get out of here. And remember, he was running around that ranch that he had with that big Texas belt buckle that made him look like some real cowboy, so to speak. And he was coming out there with his henchmen, Cheney, Rumsfeld, and Condoleezza Rice, acting like he had every single thing under control. And if I remember correctly, the press was really going down on George Bush because he hadn't done anything in terms of anything as president. And he took the entire month of August off and said that, I can take care of it. And remember, he bought that ranch strictly so that when he became president, he could play that role of the Lone Cowboy, so to speak. So we had Richard Clarke screaming all over the place to get high-level meetings to talk about terrorism. There was a national security or CIA memo that came to Bush on August 6th, specifically saying that bin Laden was determined to attack the United States. Also, we also know that when Bush made some trip to Switzerland for some meeting, NATO, I don't know what the heck it was, sometime over the summer, that there was great concern about where he would stay, because there was talk that not necessarily bin Laden, but terrorists would hijack a plane and fly it into the hotel that Bush was staying in. So he had to stay somewhere else. I don't remember all the details specifically that were going on. So we had a number of things that clearly indicated after Clinton left and as Bush was president that said something was going on. And remember, I can't remember the guy's name. He became the governor of New Mexico, after that, had a high-level guy in the Clinton administration basically indicated to the national security replacements that, hey, terrorism is specifically by non-government entities is going to be your biggest heartache. And of course, when it comes to stuff like that, the people that Bush hired, they were all big-time professional people. They knew what this was all about. All right, but they were given the directive not to look into that at all. Remember, Cheney had a big high-level energy meeting in February or March of 2001. He didn't want to let anyone in. He didn't want to let any environmental groups in. He didn't want to let the press in. He didn't want to let them know anything, because basically they were there to figure out how they could carve up Iraq if the time and place came for that to happen. And guess what? It did come for that to happen. Am I saying that they knew about it ahead of time? No, I'm not at all. They were looking for more sources of energy, and Iraq had the biggest oil reserves that they needed to tap into. And if they could just get rid of Saddam, they could really, really tap into it. And I want to bring up another thing real quick, just to end it here. It is that William Crystal, Weekly Standard, a couple weeks before we actually went into Iraq, which would have been March of 2003, talked about how, the Sunni and the Shia, that they can get along. It's never really a problem, and it was a big problem. It had been a problem for 1,000 years over there. They hated each other, and I don't know where he got his sources from, but again, there was another report that about 2 or 3 weeks before we went in also, George Bush had a meeting, and he didn't even know that there was a Sunni and a Shia, because he was never told anything about the different tribal factions that were in Iraq and what might happen after the United States had gone in terms of what those tribal factions might do. As we can see, a great big clusterfuck by all of this, but Billy does not want you to look at it that way. He just wants you to look at, George Bush shouldn't be blamed for 9/11, that it was a failure on our intelligence bureaus, etc. Whereas we know George Bush had ample opportunity to ramp up his security things big time to take a look at this. Could they have prevented it? Don't know at all. But we do know one thing. He was very, very lax in what he was told would be a pressing problem for him and his administration.